I think that it can be relatively easy to kind of just set up shop and start your business here in Canada. Sites like Etsy and Wix have made it so easy for people to just kind of start selling a product or a service without really jumping through all the loops and the holes that you need to actually like incorporate a proper business here in Canada. And so, while I think it's kind of easy to set up, I think the biggest problem with starting a business is that they fail quite often. According to FundSquire, 20% of businesses in Canada fail within their first year, and up to 60% will go belly up within the first 3 years. And so, having an idea for a business, but then actually like growing it and scaling it is the problem that a lot of people have. And according to the BDC, making sure that you have a solid growth plan, good financial management, you're prepared to hire employees, you're super focused on customer service, you can develop and work with your internet presence, and you can network effectively are all ways that you can kind of hedge your bets and create a successful business. While these kind of under the table businesses that I mentioned at the beginning with like Etsy and stuff are easy to set up, if you want to actually kind of start a real legit business in Canada, you are going to need to register it through the government of Canada. They say that you'll need a basic framework for your business before you start applying. And so this includes things like knowing where your main office will be, what provinces you want to operate out of, a proposed business plan, and you'll also need to know what type of business you are. Once you've submitted those forms, you then need to go and make sure that you get the required permits and licenses in order to operate. They will again change based on what kind of business you are and where you're operating. This process can be long and kind of tedious and kind of expensive. I've learned this through trying to incorporate Healthy Youth Network, which is the nonprofit that I work for, as an actual nonprofit as opposed to just a business. But realistically, I think it's the easiest part and the easiest time you will have trying to set up your entire business. The skills that entrepreneurs need are skills that a lot of just people who work in business have. According to the BDC self-assessment tool, I fall well below the average of where entrepreneurs should be in almost every skill set, essentially meaning I would not make a great entrepreneur, which I kind of already knew. I always want a stable 9-to-5 job. I never wanted to be a freelancer or an entrepreneur realistically. However, I do think I have a lot of good skills like time management, attention to detail, creativity, organization. And so while I have those, I know, however, that I lack some of the more administrative behind the scenes type skills like legal or financial. I have absolutely no clue about any of those. According to Forbes, the most important skills that entrepreneurs need are curiosity, time management, strategic thinking, efficiency, resilience, communication, networking, finance, branding, and sales. Like I mentioned above, I have a lot of great skills like time management. I'm extremely curious, hence for the journalism program, and I have super strong communication and critical thinking skills. These are kind of more soft skills in my mind that people kind of either have or they don't. They're relatively harder to learn as opposed to hard skills, which are the skills that I'm actually kind of lacking. And so things like sales, networking, finance, and branding, in my mind, are all hard skills that you can go and take classes and learn. I can go and take an accounting class and learn everything I need to know. I can go take a marketing class. I can go and take these and learn these skills that I lack. However, I would never go into business by myself because I know I lack a lot of skills needed. And so I would like to find somebody or a couple people who can kind of pick up the slack and the skills that I lack. And we can create a perfect balance of me being more the customer service side and that, whereas the other person could be more behind the scenes, doing the financial, the legal, all that stuff that I feel like I lack skills in. So as for business I'd like to launch in the near future, I don't know if this is near future or like future away, but I've been toying with the idea of wanting to start my own communications firm. This would kind of operate similar to a marketing firm like venture capital, Arlene Dickinson. But it would be more focused on communication and less on like advertising and that kind of stuff. I think my idea is mostly that we would serve small businesses that can't necessarily afford a big high price tag of a marketing agency, or they can't afford to have their own communications person in store at all times, 40 hours a week. This would be for a company, that only needs someone to kind of help run their social media. And so they really only need someone 10, 15, 25 hours a week. On top of that, I would also like to serve businesses that don't need someone full-time or all the time, but they need them for a particular event, or they're going through a scandal. Like say a restaurant is going through a scandal in the newspaper and they just need help de-escalating the situation and that kind of stuff. And so I think sticking with small businesses as opposed to trying to be high and mighty and do communications for Walmart or Costco is kind of the best area. And it's a niche market that not everyone is in. The first steps that I would kind of take to start this would be to set up a basic business plan, which, as you kind of heard, I already have a general idea of where and what I want this company to be. After I have a solid plan for that, I get to do all the fun stuff like make the logo, create the name, find our mission statement, write our vision statement, do all the branding that goes with creating a company. Then I move on to the boring stuff like registering the company with the government, looking for grants and loans in order to get us off the ground, get help from BDC, and just start the business. I think in order to actually start, it would need to be a one-man operation where I'm essentially freelancing, but under the name of my company. And so as I kind of gain more clients and get more jobs, as soon as I can, I would like to hire a second person in order to help take on some of the clientele, but then ideally find someone who can kind of run the back end of stuff where I can focus again more on the customer aspect of it. For finding advice, the first person I would go to is Brooke Gordon, who is actually my mentor, and she works for BDC helping female entrepreneurs get their businesses off the ground. BDC has so many resources to help people become good entrepreneurs. In addition to having funding, they are essentially a bank. That's what they describe themselves as. And so BDC would be my first go-to. Once I've exhausted BDC and I really need the money and the capital to keep growing, I would go to the Canadian government websites. I would look at Government of Canada, Ontario, and even municipal governments because they all have resources for entrepreneurs. I think if we stick again with small businesses, it creates a niche market that a lot of bigger firms don't look at. The biggest threats I see to a business like this are that people would rather use a larger marketing firm because they don't understand communications. Two is that people, they really don't understand what communications is as opposed to marketing, or they just think, why do I need to hire a professional? I know how to run social media. And third, if small businesses can't afford our services, then we're stuck. We have no clientele, and then we're pretty useless. I think that the skills that entrepreneurs have are going to be extremely valuable in my future career as wanting to be a multimedia editor. Places don't hire in-house multimedia editors or editors as much as they used to because schools are training people to be the entire package. They're training them to be the producer, the writer, the videographer, and the editor. And so they don't need someone to come in and just edit videos all day. They need someone to do all of it. And so in order to make a go at being a multimedia editor, I think I'm going to need to freelance. I'm going to need to sell myself and my skills as opposed to selling a product or an app or something like that. And so the skills that you would need in order to sell something like a shovel, I'm going to need to use those skills in order to sell myself and to tell people that, hey, use me. I will edit anything you need as opposed to you just editing yourself.